name is Alyssa. I read. Welcome to my channel, and this is the first episode of Read It and Unhaul It. I would like to read through my TBR. I thought this would be a fun way of doing it, this concept that I've developed. So the plan is to randomly choose my TBR for the most part. If I don't have planned books to read that I need to get to, then I'll use a number generator to pick from my TBR. My TBR is a mixture of kind of 3 different categories. I have my physical TBR, so all the books that I physically own. I also have my Kindle or Kindle Unlimited TBR. I have actually 100 books on that list. So if I have books on my Kindle that I just downloaded, either I bought or they were free or something. And then there's books obviously from Kindle Unlimited I would like to get to. And then the third category are sequels. So books I want to continue in, or series I want to continue in, and I probably don't actually own. Some of them I do, but for the most part I don't own them. I will be using my library in order to continue on with series and things like that. In total, between those 3 categories, I have a total of 317, I believe. Yes, 317 books on my TBR, so that's too many. The unhaul comes in is after finishing a book, I am going to spin a wheel and we are going to unhaul some books. I actually have to create the wheel. I forgot that I needed to do that, but I'm going to have different prompts, and the different prompts are going to be unhauling books. Some of them are haul. It just really depends on what I land on, but it may ask me to unhaul from my physical TBR. It may ask me to unhaul from my Kindle TBR. So I have different prompts that I may get to, and it may not just be one book. It may be, I think, 10. I might have put 10 on there. I can't remember. And then to kind of break it up and bring some fun to it, I have some haul prompts. So my TBR may end up growing. So it just, I think every episode of this kind of concept will be different. But yeah, so right now I have no planned TBR. I do need to request some books in order to get to some sequels. So since I don't know what to read next, I will use a number generator. So I need to start recording. Okay, so it's gonna be 1 to 317, and I'm just gonna use whatever order Goodreads has done it. So let's generate 3. So weird. That's so low. Okay. So I'm gonna read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Oh my goodness. So this is on my physical TBR. Okay, I'm just kind of surprised. But it's a Regency fantasy, which I really love. And I think it's Faye. I think she's looking for other half of a soul, and I think it's a romantasy. So I've heard it's kind of like cozy, more of a cozy fantasy with romance, something that I absolutely love. So I guess Half a Soul is one of the books I'm going to be reading. Also, I'm in the middle of an audiobook, so I will always have an audiobook on the go. Maybe, maybe not. As of right now, I'm reading Wild Love by Elsie Silver. It's my first Elsie Silver, and I'm really enjoying it. The reason why I'm gonna have an audiobook is because I do gig work, so it's nice that I can listen to an audiobook while I'm driving around in my car. So I think I'm like a third of the way through this audiobook. It's quite long. It's like 11 hours, and I'm a slow listener and a slow reader. So I'm just warning you right now about that. This one, I don't remember the names, but he is a billionaire apparently. But it's set in Canada, which I really like, kind of in the Rocky Mountains. And he has this property, and he's like in the music biz. So he is building up his property. He wants to build a studio on his property. So he's kind of busy doing that. The female main character, she grew up in this small town called Rose Hills. This is where it's set, and she's having a rough go. She was working in Vancouver. I think she just like has like a master's in business or something, but she got fired because of an SA thing that happened. Instead of her being able to go to HR, the guy who did the assault got to them first, so she lost her job. And things with her boyfriend are kind of just like whatever. So she kind of goes back home. She wants to have a new start. The other plot line in here is he has a surprise daughter. He donated sperm. And unfortunately, this young girl, like her mom, like she just lost her dad. He died. And her mom is just experiencing immense amount of grief and is suffering with depression. So she just shows up on his doorstep and asks, can you help us? And so he ends up taking her in while her mom gets treatment. So I think this series is like single dad, which is not normally the genre that I grab. Like, I prefer single mom, honestly. But I think I like the fact that it's not like it's kind of an adoptive daughter, and they're both kind of figuring out kind of how to parent her. So he hires the female love interest. What's her name? I think her name is like Rose or Rosa or something like that. And he totally forget. So he hires her. She like begs him, and he's like always been in love with her ever since they were teenagers. So I'm really loving that aspect. I love that he is in love with her. She has no idea. They've always like, it's not hate to love, because he uses the bickering in order to hide the fact that he's in love with her. So I'm enjoying it. I guess his family is like, I guess his dad was like a rock star turned businessman kind of thing, and that's where they've got their millions. I think the billionaire thing, it just, how many there cannot be so many billionaires in all these romances. It just doesn't make sense to me. There's only so many billionaires in the world. So I think the fact that he's like I think I would believe it more if he was a millionaire. Like, I would totally believe that. Rancher, grew up in the sticks, making millions. Like, that is a thing, especially like in Alberta and BC. That's believable. But a billionaire, really? Like, I don't know. I don't believe it. So anyways, I'm gonna pretend he's a millionaire. I think that makes more sense to me. So yeah, I'm actually really liking it. And it's a lot cleaner, which is kind of the lane I prefer. So like, nothing really physically has happened. It's a bit of a slow burn, so I'm liking it. Let's get on with the vlog.
Sitting on a stump beside the fire pit near the lake, stick held in her hand as she draws in the soot.
Actually, I'll take a lap around the property and let you deal with this first.
I finished Wild Love, and I did really like it. So I finished listening to it like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago while I was working, and I'm gonna end up giving it 4 stars. One thing, it definitely did get steamy. I feel silly saying that it was clean. It's definitely doesn't turn clean later on, but I did really like this one. For some reason, it bugs me that he's a billionaire, because like, I don't believe it. I looked it up. I'm embarrassed that I looked this up, but there's like a total of 14 billionaires between Alberta and BC. There's only 14. And so I just don't believe that he's a billionaire. I know that's silly, but I think the only reason why he was a billionaire was so that he can throw some money around later on in the novel. And so I kind of don't like that aspect of his character. I don't mind him being rich and stuff and like building a business and all that, but just the being like, I don't know, when I think of a billionaire, I think like city, you know, businessman kind of thing, not like rural Rocky Mountain, BC. So that's one thing I have to pick with it. I did really love them as a couple. I love that he was like obsessed with her and has always been in love with her. I love that aspect of the romance. I did like his development with his daughter, getting to know her and being there for her. I did really like that, and I liked how Ford, that's his name, Ford and Rosie worked as a team, and you can see them kind of being like a family together. And I did like the fact that like once they finally got together, it was kind of like assumed that they are together, because they've just had this tension throughout the years, and it was basically like inevitable. The third act breakup was like kind of like, I don't even know how I feel about it. It was like okay, not my favorite. And in a lot of ways, I'm like, I don't even know why Rosie was like overly mad. Like, I understand, but at the same time, not really. And so I was just like, okay. And it did feel a little long. Like, I just felt like it was a little bit too long. But overall, it was really good. And I understand why people really like Elsie Silver. And I do want to read more. Oh, and I feel like it wasn't enough small town. I did really like the bowling league. Like, that's a super fun concept. I wish I saw more small town. It felt more like business romance, and like you definitely got the like Canadian cabin country kind of vibe with the lake and the dock and stuff. But besides that, in the bowling league, there wasn't a ton of small town romance. It was basically like a workplace romance, if anything, because he ends up hiring her, and so they have the tension every day as they work together, and so that's kind of fun. But yeah, I do look forward to reading more. Oh my goodness, I'm done. One book, so we're gonna have to like unhaul something. I totally forgot. So I guess I'm gonna have to figure out where I am with my numbers with my TBR, and then we will spin the wheel. I made a wheel. We gotta do this fast before my kids get home. So now we're gonna do a screen record. Okay, so I just need to let you guys know that I unfortunately lost the screen recording of me spinning the spinner. I'm so upset by it. I tried recreating it and it didn't work, so I had to make a fake wheel. I unfortunately had to make a wheel that had the one prompt that I landed on. You get to see my reaction, but I had to make this fake wheel. Don't worry, in the next spin, you will see the actual wheel. My reaction is authentic, the spinner is not, and I'm terribly sorry, but we still get to see the fallout of my decision. And you cannot say I'm lying, because I ended up getting one of the worst prompts. Of 20 unhaul prompts, 10 haul, like to bring in prompts, and 5 borrow a library book. So those are all the prompts. My plan is every time I spin the wheel, once I select a prompt, it will be removed. I shuffled it a couple of times, and now we're gonna spin the wheel and see what happens. Oh my gosh! I literally picked the worst one the first time. Oh my gosh, okay. I have to unhaul 10 books. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're unhauling 10 books. We gotta see what I'm unhauling. Oh, so before we do that though, so I read Wild Love. So I have 317 books. I finished this one. So now I'm gonna be down to 316 because it was on my want to read. But it's gonna go back to 317 because I'm now adding Wild Eyes to my TBR because I will continue. So there's 4 books. And I guess Wild Card isn't out yet, but Wild Eyes and Wild Side are out. So Wild Eyes is being added to my TBR. So my TBR has pretty much stayed the same. This is the problem with like reading the sequels, is I will be pretty much always adding the next one unless I am prompted to unhaul stuff, like I am right now. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna unhaul. But let's go figure that out. I probably won't be in this shot very well, but I wanted to kind of bring you down here because these shelves, here we go, this shelf and this bottom one, and then kind of this one too. These are all like books that I'm like not like super interested in. I don't mind getting rid of. They're kind of here because I'm willing to give them a chance, but since I'm being prompted to unhaul books pretty much right away, I'm going to be choosing from these 3 shelves. I may go on Goodreads just to see kind of like lowest rated stuff too. But one book I'm for sure, like this has always been my first one I'm gonna unhaul. I think this is lowly rated anyways, and the synopsis just like doesn't appeal to me. So this is gonna be number 1 for sure. These ones actually, I'm like kind of, maybe not this one, but these 3 sound the most interesting out of all the romances here that are contemporary. So I'll hold on to these for now. And I think I'll hold on to this too because there's something that draws me towards Harlequin romances. I think maybe because they're so short. Actually, I read an older Nora Roberts like short story, and so this doesn't appeal, and I didn't like it. That was my point. I ended up DNFing it. So like Nora Roberts short romances don't really appeal to me anymore, so I'm gonna probably unhaul this one. I might hold on to this and the other one because it's at least fantasy, so I might try her fantasy romances. You know what? I am gonna go on Goodreads. I'm just gonna look, and then I'll pick probably the lowest rated ones. I'm sorry, I'm not really in shop. It kind of simplifies it and makes the decisions so much easier. Oh, actually there's some stuff up here. Some stuff here, like here, I probably don't ever actually want to read. And some stuff there, but mostly these, because some of these are like thrillers, and I just don't read thrillers. This is extremely lowly rated, so I'm gonna unhaul this. This is also lowly rated. It's 3.52, and it's just, I think it's more a women's fiction, and it's just not something I'm super interested in. This random Linda Howard is a 3.54, so I'm gonna unhaul it. This is lowly rated as well, but I'm not really sure. I'm gonna unhaul this. Again, another thriller. I don't really read thrillers, so I'm gonna unhaul this. I'm gonna unhaul pretty much all the thrillers because I just don't read them. I've held on to them for a while. I used to have an Amazon store where I resold books, and I closed it, so I held on to books that I thought maybe I would get to. I will never pick this up on my own. I would have to be prompted. So all the thrillers are pretty much gonna go, especially if they're lowly rated. So 2, 4, 6, 7. I need 3 more. Okay, so that's a lot of the lowly rated stuff. Now I think I'm just gonna do it based on my own feels. Oh, I'm gonna unhaul this. I used to like Jill Mansell. She does write romance, but kind of sweeter, cleaner romances, and they tend to lean more like women's fiction, so I'm not always really, I've never actually been interested in this. My mom just passed it on, and I used to read her books, so I took it, but I'm gonna unhaul that. So that's 8. I'm not sure about these because like I'm kind of getting into mysteries now, so I think that's why I've been holding on to them. Okay, I think I'm gonna unhaul this, and then I think I'm gonna unhaul Killing Time, which is like a romantic suspense that I've never read. These are all books I've just never read before. So this is my unhaul. These are 10 books. I actually have no emotional feelings about these books, so like I'm not upset at all. Unhauling doesn't really get me unless it's like something I'm excited about, so I have no feelings towards any of these books. I don't mind unhauling them. Not really sure where I'm gonna unhaul them. I usually just donate them to the thrift store, honestly. So that's Heart of the Home by Nora Roberts, Ice by Linda Howard, Killing Time by Cindy Gerard, Murderless by Julie Garwood, Maybe This Time by Jill Mansell, No Judgments by Meg Cabot. This is Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward, Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo, The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey, and finally The Prisoner by B.A. Paris. So I'm out working. I'm just waiting for an order. It's a Wednesday, so it's gonna be a little slower today, but I already dropped off one order and I'm just hoping to get another one. But I should have mentioned that I over 100 pages in Half Soul, Olivia Atwater, and I'm loving it. It's so much fun. It is a fantasy romance. It's a historical, so it's like a fantasy of manners, and we're following Theodore, and she lives with her cousin and her aunt and uncle. When she was young, like she's orphaned, so when she was young, a fairy stole her soul, and her cousin, who's also around her age, kind of helped her. Like she found, we call her Dora, our main character, found Dora being attacked by this fairy, and so she like stabbed him with these like thread scissors or something, attacked him, and so he only ended up taking half of her soul. So ever since she's been very like emotionless. She doesn't know how to feel emotions, and she kind of, her inner dialogue is like she observes things and knows like she should have certain feelings but doesn't, and sometimes she can feel a little something, but for the most part she's very emotionless and doesn't react to things. But she's very close to her cousin, and her cousin, like, I love the bond she has with her cousin because they're practically sisters, and Vanessa really looks out for her, and it's pretty clear that she would have been turned out if Vanessa hasn't vouched for her over the years. So now, you know, we flash forward to when they're starting they're both coming out into the season, looking for husbands. They find themselves in London, getting to know some gentlemen. Vanessa wants to make a connection with Lord Sorcier. I think is like Lord Sorcier. I think that's his name. He's basically like the main magician for the Prince Regent. He's a magician, and he's friends with this other guy who are very close, and Vanessa secretly asks for his help to help Dora with this curse. So she gets to know Lord Sorcier, and he is super grumpy. He's really angry at the world. He just came back from war, essentially, him and his friend, and who is Albert, I think is his name. He's very angry and gruff and doesn't connect with people well. Extremely rude, but since Dora is very like emotionless, but she's also like very witty and smart, they just have a very interesting banter, and he likes this challenge of trying to figure out like how to figure out what's going on with her. So I just, for one thing, it's like Regency. I love historical romances, and so I love that, and the fact that it's fantasy also. It's very light. It's just like, you know, he's a magician, there's fairies, she has this curse. It's mostly like a historical romance except with light fantasy. So yeah, I'm kind of obsessed. I just love the connection she has with Vanessa, and I'm like curious to see who she ends up with. I don't know if she ends up with anyone in this story. I was kind of hoping she'll end up with Albert because I kind of like that connection, or the potential of like them still being close even being after married, and like the aunt, and they're staying with like a countess, and they're like trying to scheme, trying to figure out who they could match each of the girls with, and it's very clear that they do not want Dora around, which is unfortunate just because she's odd. She's just like socially inept in a way, but the thing that's funny about Lord Sorcier, he's not even like part of the peerage. He just gained this title after the war, so he's just really he doesn't have any manners or anything, and people actually begrudge his company. So I'm loving it. It's so much fun. So there's that. I already talked about Wild Love. I just started Desperate Duchess by Eloisa James, and every time I start Eloisa James, it's kind of hard to get into because the way she writes, it's very like Old English, but it's like funny, so I have to like adjust to her writing style, and the writing style is very much like being told a story too, which is kind of interesting. And this is one of her older ones. I'm listening to the audio. I'm having literally on one speed because English accent, different kind of writing style. She's in a tough situation. Our heroine, her father is like really ridiculous. He's a poet. He is a marquess, but he's a poet, and I think he has like a mistress, and he like takes his mistress to parties and stuff. So she is constantly being ruined or being embarrassed by her father. So he's making her a bit of a laughing stock, and people have been making comics about her and making fun of her for the fact that she cannot find a husband because of the reputation of her father. So she takes it into her own hands to go to London to try and find a husband, and she sets her eyes on a duke. She meets him once and just like basically falls in love with him right away. And I know the concept is there's another guy, maybe a viscount, who has his sights on her. So I kind of liked the love triangle-esque thing. I just thought that was going to be kind of funny, but the writing style is kind of throwing me off, but I'll just keep listening and see how it goes. But yeah, so that's what's happening right now. We'll see how it goes. So it's the next day. I'm still listening to Desperate Duchess. I am about like 40% through. This audiobook is super quiet, so it's kind of hard to listen. And it's raining today, so I don't know how well I'm going to be able to pay attention with all the noises and stuff. But anyways, I am liking this. Every time I read Eloisa James, she doesn't just focus on like the main couple. There's kind of like side couples that she focuses on too. This one we're following Roberta, and she is desperate in need of a husband and it's hard for her to find a husband because her father is a bit ridiculous. He's a poet. He's also a marquess, so she has like a dowry and everything, but like he's like kind of out in his own world. She doesn't want to live the life of living with her father anymore, working with his poetry. Like, he's kind of considered a little bit mad in a way. Like, not that he actually is, but that's how the Ton view him. So she actually just leaves and goes to London on her own, which I think is hilarious. And she asks the help from an extremely distant cousin, like barely like actually related, and I think her name is Jenna, like I think that's her name, but she's a duchess and she just moved back from Paris. She's married to a duke. His name is Elijah. I forget what their actual like title is, but he's a duke, she's a duchess, and he's really into politics and he cares about their image. She was living in Paris the past 8 years, so their relationship is very strained. They bicker a lot. No real true connection, no love connection at all. It's very clear that they both had lovers in the past, and you slowly get to know that he really hurt her in the beginning of their marriage because she found him with his mistress. So there's this like very like messy relationship, and I've noticed that Elisa James does this where she like has very messy married couples, and so the assumption is that we probably see them get together by the end. I don't actually know, but I have seen that before, and I do really like the messy married couples kind of included because it doesn't really shy away from the messiness of marriages at this time, which I really enjoy. It kind of brings drama too. So Roberta, our main character, she says she's in love with another duke. You start to learn, that he's actually not a good guy at all. He is a rake. He's like impregnated other like ladies and doesn't follow through and marry them. Like, he's just like not a good guy. And you also learn that everyone's obsessed with chess in this novel. He played a game against another guy who ended up ending his life, and the widow of that other guy asks Jenna to ruin him because she's really good at chess. So this is the Duchess. So she's tasked with trying to marry Roberta off to this duke that no one thinks that she should marry, but also ruining him in some way. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. But the thing that's funny is Donovan, Jenna's brother, has his eyes on Roberta. And so he's kind of playing like a mischievous game with her where he's like, well, if you want to be with the duke, you need to know how to kiss. And so like he's kind of teaching her lessons, which is kind of fun. So I like his mischievous kind of side. I like that he's like kind of pursuing her, and he's considered like extremely like eligible bachelor, and a lot of the women want him, but he has his sights on Roberta. So I love that like Roberta is looking at this one duke and then Donovan is looking at her. So I do like that dynamic. It's a bit messy, like I said, which is kind of fun. So I'm not quite halfway by getting there, and I'm excited to see more of Roberta and Donovan. And he has a son, and so he's part of the mix as well. And Roberta isn't really a kid person, but he's enamored with her. So I do like that dynamic where she's like being very kind and generous with him, even though she's like not a big fan of kids, but you can tell that some relationship is gonna develop between them. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm also reading Half a Soul, still loving it. I'm obsessed with that one. I'm like loving it so much. My battery's about to die, so I gotta end it here. Desperate Duchesses. I finished this on Saturday, so it's been a few days now. I finished listening to it and I really liked it. The thing with this one I found was I really liked the romance a lot. So like the romance itself I'm giving like 4 stars, but everything else I'm like, okay, like it was fine. Everything else I'm giving kind of like 3 stars. So I'm gonna give it a 3.5. The romance wasn't like the entire narrative, it was just part of it. There was a lot on these chess matches. So Gemma was having these chess matches with the Duke that Roberta's in love with, and then her husband. The narrative was kind of like following these matches, and it would be like day 3 of the chess matches, day 4, and that's kind of how the narrative kept on going. The idea was she was trying to seek revenge on the Duke, because not her husband but the other one, because her friend asked her to. There's kind of this like narrative that like everyone's obsessed with chess. Like I find it kind of odd. I kind of find it odd, but there is this kind of assumption that everyone's obsessed with chess, and then people are getting so obsessed that it's like ruining their lives. Kind of an interesting idea. But anyways, I didn't care about all the chess stuff. I didn't care about the revenge. Oh, and then there was a duel at the end, which I'm not a big fan of duels. Like, I just find it so annoying how men just like throw around their testosterone and have a duel or whatever. It's just so annoying. But this duel was with sapiers, which was kind of cool, but I just felt like there was no point to have the duel. Like, it was just, I didn't understand it, honestly. Maybe it's to do with the revenge, but so 3.5. I enjoyed listening to it, but I liked the romance the best. I loved how Damien was trying to convince her to like fool around with him basically, and she kept on like agreeing to do so, and I liked their relationship. I liked their connection, and it was kind of funny like how like oblivious and silly she kind of was, being in love with this guy that she knew nothing about, but along the way was getting to know Damien really well, and you got to see like why Damien is actually a better fit for her than the other Duke. So I did really like their romance, and this is one of the lower rated in the series. When I look at the rest of the series, I'm not sure how I feel, because everything is like second chance romance or people who are married and rekindling their romance. I don't know, none of the other stories kind of jump out at me. I do own some of the books. Like I own the second one, which is An Affair During Christmas or something like that. Since nothing's jumping out at me, I have almost every audiobook checked out from my library. So I may just go to the next one, which is the Christmas one, which honestly, Christmas and Regency romance isn't really Christmassy. It's really not. It's just more like a time of year. I might listen to that on audiobook like I did with Desperate Duchesses, or I might read Mile High. But Mile High audiobook is 17 hours. Why is it so long? Like, I don't know. That's besides the point. So before reading Desperate Duchesses, I was down to 307. I actually owned Desperate Duchesses. I didn't know that. I actually own it. Since I've read that and then I own the next one, I don't need to add any books to my TBR if I'm choosing to continue on the series. 317 down to 307. So now we're down to 306. So we're gonna spin the wheel and see what I get. I'm gonna make sure I record it too. I gotta record the screen and I'm gonna save it. I'm so sorry from last time. I made the wheel. I need to figure out this wheel so I don't have to make it every time. Hear the magpies outside, I'm sorry. I just noticed they're super loud. So I'm gonna shuffle this a few times. I removed the, what is it? Unhaul 10 physical books. I removed it. So every time we select one, I'm gonna remove it. I don't know, I just think it would be more fun that way. There's 20 unhaul prompts, 10 haul prompts, and then 5 borrow a book from the library. The chances are I'm more likely to choose an unhaul, but we'll see. And then the haul ones are like low. They're like buy one book. Like it's not insane. Where the unhaul is unhaul up to like 10 at a time. So, okay, shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, spin. What is it gonna be? I have no idea. I get a book from Value Village? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's so fun. Okay. So I have to go get a book. I have to do that. Okay. Okay. ended up getting $2. I know I wasn't supposed to, but I was gonna get 3, but the copy that under lock and key was quite dirty and had some watermark damage. So I did end up getting $2 instead. I probably didn't need this, honestly, but it's like a newer release and it's a historical romance. So this came out in 2021, so not super recent, but it is Victorian. It is like she's a thief and he is an assassin and he's supposed to kill her, but instead they fall in love. Sounds fun. And then I found Starling House, which I'm super excited about. I heard really good things about it. I'm just like so excited. I think it's like a romance. I never read anything by Alex E. Harrow, so this would be my first one. So excited for that. And then I bought some shirts. Oh, and then I bought this because we're going to London in like a couple weeks for a trip, so I just thought this may be kind of handy. So we have that. I bought this. I just wanted like random graphic tees for when I'm doing gig work. I don't want anything too fancy. I thought this was super cute too. Desert Dreamer. This is just a tank. I have like navy shorts, so I thought this would work. This is for my husband. He doesn't play Danganronpa, but he likes watching the Let's Plays. So I thought it was funny that I found that. That was in the women's and it's clearly for guys, so. And then I couldn't leave this. It's super cute. It might be a pajama shirt, honestly, but I think I love Baby Yoda. And then this, oh, this was kind of cute. It says T-Rex, and he's holding some tea. I don't know, it's super cute. So that's my little shopping haul. So I did finish Half a Soul. I finished it yesterday, and my husband like, I put it, it's not, you can't really tell. It was like brand new condition, and then his slippers in the bag when we stayed overnight somewhere squished it. I'm kind of upset. I really love this. It was so much fun. It really reads like a Regency romance, which I absolutely love, of course, but also with the fantastical elements. I loved Dora, that was her name, and her relationship with her cousin was super sweet, and it was like a hate to love romance, but it was more like he was super grumpy and just damaged. Like he was very like a brooding, damaged hero who just like cared almost way too much. Like he just sees the injustices in the world and just like takes it upon himself. And as this like Lord sorcerer, he's like dealing with like magical crises essentially. And when she gets to know him, her and her cousin go to London to for the season, and Dora's aunt and the countess that they're staying with are like trying to figure out, okay, who are they gonna marry? And since Dora is very like doesn't do well with social cues, you kind of wonder if she's kind of like autistic coded a little bit. But it's the result of like having half a soul, so she just doesn't express emotions very well, and she doesn't really understand them. Like she kind of looks at them from afar and she's like, I know I should feel this way, but I don't, and I don't know how. Since she's a little funny and she doesn't do well in social situations, she's kind of like embarrassing in a way to everyone around them, except for Vanessa, who like loves her as a sister. They kind of decide, okay, we should try and pair her off with Albert, who is a war veteran. He has like a prosthetic arm and is scarred from the war. Kind of assumed that he's lucky to get anyone. So they kind of pair her off with him, and then the idea is Vanessa will be paired off with his older brother, who is the Viscount in waiting. So since Dora gets to know Albert, and Albert's like super nice guy, super sweet, like anyone's lucky to have him really. He's really good friends with Lord Sorcerer, or Elias, I think is his name. That's how they get connected, but Albert, he's a physician, and so Albert and Lord Sorcerer are really involved in the workhouses, in the bad conditions. So Albert goes and treats the people who are working there, and they find this case of a sleeping disease or a sleeping plague among the children for whatever reason. And Dora finds herself kind of swept up in it because she's going with Albert to these workhouses, hoping for them to connect and eventually get married. But she ends up getting closer to Elias, and Elias decides to help her with her condition to try and find her other half of soul. So I really love this. It was super good. I kind of lost, I don't want to say I lost interest, but like it took me a long time to read this. Not that I wasn't enjoying it, but just once I finally like decided, okay, I need to finish this. I don't know, the fantasy elements were like, okay, I guess. This is way shorter than I thought. I thought it was 280 pages, which is still short. It's like 240. So this whole half is like a whole other short story. And I would read it if I decide to continue on the series. I've decided not to. I would happily read it, except my library doesn't have any of the books, and I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it. I think my understanding is this is the best one out of the entire series. They're all really like standalones. I would have happily read the next one, but I don't have cheap access to it, let's just say it that way. And unfortunately, my library doesn't have like Hoopla anymore, which really sucks. They don't have it physically or on Libby. So I think I'm gonna give this like 4.5 stars. Basically 5-star, I would reread this 100%. And there was like some really romantic moments. If you want a clean historical romance fantasy, this is it. So that was a lot of fun to read. So now I get to spin and see what's gonna happen. So I removed the Get a Book from Valley Village. I guess I'm going today. I'm kind of excited about that. So let's spin, and it's still recording, right? Yes. Okay, what is it? Oh my goodness. Get a Book from the library sale. So I'm just like hauling books, what the heck? Okay, so I guess I'm doing 2 shopping trips today. So let's go do that. Okay, so I did end up getting this book, which is called Third Son's a Charm by Shanna Gallen. There wasn't a lot of options, honestly. I'm not a literary fiction reader, so when it came to romance, this was like kind of it. There was some Harlequins, but like they were all like pregnancy ones, which I don't mind, but nothing really grabbed at me. This was like the only thing that maybe seemed interesting. It looks like this series, I don't know what book this is. It's probably out of order. I don't see it in here. But anyways, there's a group of younger sons that met on the battlefield. So, and then he has to look after a duke's daughter. Maybe like a bodyguard romance? I have no idea. Anyways, even I'm not like super like interested, but there was like nothing really there. So that was the one I got. It was only $1, so it's totally fine. So I'll be adding that to my TBR. I guess that's the end of the video. So now, since I've added 2 more books, I think I'm at, no, 3 books now, including the library haul. I'm at 308. I think that is where I'm at. So I'm at 308. That's where I'm at. Down 9 from where I was before, which is better than nothing. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not done so. If you have any suggestions when it comes to this series, if you have any ideas, please comment down below. Give me some ideas if you want, but I do plan to continue the series. And if you've read any of these books, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.